Welcome back. I'm Jim. Deb's here.
Hello.
And Jack is here.
Word.
And we're going to learn about making money with Scott Brown.
Helping people passionate about planning for their future rise above investment myths to build real wealth.
Isn't that really just common sense financial advice?
It's both.
Oh, okay.
It's only money with Scott Brown from Edgewater Family Wealth.
You guys give it up good and loud for everybody. Scott Brown.
Yeah.
Woo! What's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm fantastic, man.
That's
How are y'all?
a nice sweater there, whatever
Thank
that
you.
is
I'm
there.
not even going to tell you where this came from because you'll make fun of it.
Oh, God.
please do.
Oh,
Where'd it come from?
Lululemon.
Yep. listen.
Dude, they have great menswear. Look, you're not going to get hate from me, buddy.
Dude, they're so comfortable.
You're not going to get hate from It's just so damn expensive.
It is
But if you
expensive.
catch that stuff on sale, though,
Yeah.
if you go to their website, they
Yeah.
always have a clearance blowout area. Now, of course, it's like, this is 2 seasons old. And
Yeah.
I don't give a damn if it's 15 seasons old.
it's just comfy.
But that stuff is built so well. I know they get so much hate.
I know.
But, man.
I know. I don't
Yeah.
like to admit to my friends that I'm wearing
That's
Lulu
all
because,
right.
you walk in there and it's you and a bunch of 15-year-old girls,
Exactly.
which is weird in itself.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm still getting my shirt.
All right.
I do love the fact that he just announced it to about 100,000.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
right.
See y'all at Lululemon.
All right, 407-916-1041. Scott comes to us via Edgewater Family Wealth, been in business for 30-plus years.
You are 37.
37 years. That's a long time to be telling people how to spend their money.
You know, it's
Or not spend it.
yeah, or don't spend it. I tell them a lot of things. They listen to about half of it, so that's good.
Is there another business that you know of that has such a personal relationship with the clientele that's not like an attorney or a doctor? Because, I mean, you think about it. I mean, your money is your livelihood. You know, it's what you spend your time on.
Yeah.
Time is all you have that's really inevitable, right? So I can imagine that some of the conversations you have with clients can be a bit contentious and probably quite joyful, but I imagine it can't be far from their relationship with their doctor, the people they trust the most. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, obviously it's a different topic, but it's probably second by only a little bit to your health in terms of how concerned you are about it. So yeah, I have people cry, I have people angry, I have people frustrated, I have people, they run every emotion you can think of runs through my office and the couch. I have a couch that people sit on, so I'm a little bit like a therapist.
He does your money therapy. I love it.
I do. I mean, it's true. And people they're sad, they're frustrated, they're happy, they're elated. Their kid got to go to college, they got to retire, but then this really bad thing. A lot of times I have people in my office who've lost a family member, and that begets a whole bunch of economic needs and necessities.
Right, yeah. How many people? Yeah, I find this very interesting. And the cool thing is about asking you this question, you don't really have to you don't have to divulge any really sensitive information. How many people have had a financial windfall and have come to you for advice, and you really had to come? I mean, you think about like maybe an inheritance or maybe a lottery winner of some sort, or maybe a business that got bought out. And after that great influx of cash, do they change much, or do they come to you with a plan to set up something more solid? Have you had that happen?
I've had it happen many times. Business sales, inheritances, a couple of lottery winners. I've been through all of those. Athletes, I've been through all of that. And I will tell you, people don't change. It really, what the saying is that money enhances whoever you are. So if you're a bad person or a grouch, you're going to be grouchier and worse. If you're a nice person, that's your generosity is going to come through. And I can tell you that that's been my experience, that people don't change. And what you find, like, for example, if you start with a business owner who sells a business, a guy or a gal who owns a plumbing company or a shop or a restaurant or whatever, and they sell it, that's a person that's been an entrepreneur most of their lives.
Right.
So it's not, the windfall is, yes, a windfall. Maybe they made $5 million, $8 million, whatever the number is, and that's a lot of money.
But they had to be disciplined to get there to begin
Right.
with.
It's not new. Like, they knew it was, that's what they've been doing for the last 30 years, right? They've been getting ready for this versus the person who inherits money. That is a whole different animal. If they've not had money before that can be very problematic because people, first of all, they don't know how that money was made because they didn't make it. They're not quite sure if they lost it, how they would make it back. So they become two things. They become very cynical and very cheap very quickly.
And they don't respect it. That's what I found. People who come into money quickly. I remember a kid back in the day got a big inheritance from his mom who had passed away.
Yeah.
You know, you hand a kid who is like 17 years old $100K.
Yeah.
You know, and he went through that by the time he was 19. It was all gone.
Yep.
but they just don't have the mentality for it. They don't understand. They don't have a discipline, and they don't respect it. So, they never had it before, and they can live without it again, is how they look at it sometimes.
Well, yeah, and they confuse their luck with some kind of acumen. Like, I have $500,000 that I don't know how I got it, but clearly I'm a smart person because my grandma left me $500,000, right?
I'll just get more.
Yeah, I mean, how many grandmas do I have? So yeah, they get confused and they think, well, I was able to budget $500 a week. Clearly, I can budget for $500,000. That very frequently is not the case.
Yeah, of course. I bet it's pretty interesting to watch.
It's interesting and aggravating sometimes because you try to talk sense into them, you try to explain the concepts to them. But if somebody reaches you at 40 or 50 years of age, let's face it, in our 50s, we start to lose our parents, if not before that. And they've reached 50 and not had any financial success and been poor with economics, that isn't going to change because they just inherited $1 million.
Right, yeah.
It's going to get worse.
Right, it's going to get worse.
Instant money can be problematic.
Yeah. All right, here with Scott Brown from Edgewater Family Wealth. You heard him, 37 years in Orlando, making sure people don't spend their money in an unwise fashion.
Let's hope.
And every single week you send over a little, like a synopsis or a little, like a syllabus of what we're going to talk about today. And I found this very interesting. The last one I want to talk about because I think that is one of the most important factors across the board in business in general. And you can certainly see, based on what I just said a minute ago about the people you trust in your life the utmost, how that could come into play. But firstly, let's talk about possibility versus probability.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So there's a saying that when possibility's in the room, probability goes out the window. And what that means is people like the possibility that they could win the lottery, even though there's a 1 in 23 million chance that you could win the Florida lottery. People, that's a possible thing. That could happen, right? So I'm going to buy lottery tickets because that's possible. And because it's possible, I'm going to keep trying it because that's a shortcut, right? And the odds of winning at roulette are like 1 in 32. The odds of winning blackjack are, you got a 40% chance of winning a hand of blackjack. And they do all these low probability things. They gamble on sports. They buy crypto. They buy meme stocks, right? These are low probability things. If you're smart enough to Google the probability of the things you're doing to try to get rich quickly, you'll realize they're very low probability outcomes. So but because it's possible that the guy I met yesterday at the bus stop could make me a millionaire. There is a chance of that. But it's exciting to you because it's possible. People don't stop and say, what is probable?
Yeah.
What is statistically, if I save $500 or $600 a month from the age of 25 and I earn 7% and I retire at age 65, I will have $1.8 million. That's not a low probability. That's 100% probability.
If not more by then. But
right. Well, that's basically the math, right? So if you say there's a 100% chance that if I am disciplined and save for the next 25 or 30 years, I am going to have a lot of money and retire comfortably and be proud of myself for having done that. There's a 100% chance of that happening versus these other things where there's a 1 in a million, 1 in 2 million, 1 in 500,000. People love this stuff.
But Scott,
I know.
Scott,
I know.
Have you never sat around the kitchen table in a trailer and discuss what you're going to do with the $370 million guaranteed you're going to win in just a couple hours on a Saturday night?
I have 100% done that exact thing as a child.
There is nothing more enhancing your life than sitting around with your friends and family, drinking hot beers, discussing what you're going to do with the $380 million. How about this? It's so real that you actually wind up getting in arguments with family members over the amount that they're going to get.
Yeah.
No chance of
what
you winning.
What do you mean you wouldn't give that to me?
No chance. But that is the trip. You're right. To spend $10 occasionally when it's $500 million, that way you can dream.
See, here's the deal.
That's worth the $10 to me.
You can dream for $2. That's my entry level. I get in for the $2, and from the time I buy the ticket until the time they tell me a Publix in Marathon sold the winning ticket, and it wasn't me. That dream time for $2 is worth it. And I do know one thing that all lottery winners have in common. They bought a ticket.
Oh, wish you hadn't said that.
$2! Don't you dare. We have a guy that's
paying
logical.
the dumb tax. Paying the dumb. That's all right. It's funding our schools, or at least that's what they tell us.
No, it's not. You know better than that. But, talking about the probability versus the possibility. Yeah. But the probability is so boring, Scott.
I know. It's
so boring. And that's a very interesting concept because I am a I want it now kind of guy.
Yeah.
I am patently impatient.
Yeah.
I really am. So for me to go through a long-term thing like this, I have to build a mechanism to just forget that money is there. How do you do that? How do you deal with people that have that instant gratification thing like me that really still want to have that $1.5, $2 million down the road? How do you get somebody past that idea of that? Because sometimes that's very ingrained.
Well, it's, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? You ultimately, you have to teach the person that you're not delaying gratification. The gratification comes in the delay. What I mean by that is you have to begin to appreciate and enjoy and respect what you're doing for yourself. And when you start doing that, when you say, well, last month I saved $500, and the month after, and I got to the end of the year, I got $7,000 in my 401k. I had zero at the beginning of the year. And then you get to the next year, now you got $15,000, and after that you got $30,000 and $60,000. It's you learn to develop that as the gratification. Because the funny thing is people think, well, I save all this money, yada, 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 and then I'll have $1 million, and then I'll go buy a Ferrari. No, you won't. Because you've learned that the gratification comes from having the money, from seeing it accumulate. You would rather see $1 million on your bank statement than you would like to see a Ferrari in your front yard. You get there with maturity, hopefully, and discipline.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Jim, I'd like to share with you a quote I wrote down 1 week ago today, and it's delayed gratification can be gratifying.
Somebody wise said that?
Scott Brown.
I like that.
All right, so nobody wise said it, but I said it.
I heard an OnlyFans model say that once, too. Here with Scott Brown from Edgewater Family Wealth. Scott, let's move on to the one I think is, and you say this, and I listen, man, I don't know in what context you mean with this statement. I know what kind of means to me, but I think it's pretty obvious. Truth is the greatest single economic force. Explain that.
Yeah, so Charlie Munger said trust and truth were the single greatest economic force. And I've said this a million times, it's about time, right? We all only have so much time. We have to leverage, right? So if somebody comes to me, they're leveraging their time. They could Google investment stuff. They could study and read and spend 10 years doing this and doing that, spending 20 hours a week working on their investments. They could do that. But they're busy doing whatever it is they do, right? So they're leveraging me. Their trust in me and my team allows them to go forth and through life doing other things that are important to them, enjoying their family, traveling, working, building a business, crafting a career, getting an education for their kids. My team, because we are trusted in the cases of our clients, give them back their time to do that, leveraging the most limited thing you have on this planet is time. Right? We all, as far as I know, we're only getting our 70, 80, 90 years if we're lucky, maybe 100 for some of us.
We're all on the clock.
We're all on the clock, and the sand is pouring through the hourglass. So what I would say to you is trust solves that problem, because if a client comes to me and they say, hey, Scott, here's my money. I need you to invest it. I need this much in income, blah, 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 blah. And I say, I got it. And then they leave knowing and believing in me, that trust is paying off for them. Because if they don't know or believe in me, they then have to go verify. Then they call their uncle and their cousin and another advisor and 4 other advisors, and they read Barron's, and they look at the Wall Street Journal, and they take a class over at the college, and 4 years go by, and they still haven't learned how to handle their investments. Meanwhile, I could have given them all that time back.
Yeah, 100%.
It's economic leverage, because if Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett don't trust their employees or don't trust their bankers or don't trust the people that underwrite their deals, they'll never get them done.
Yeah. How do you guys, this sounds like a marketing ploy, but how do you guys, do you use testimonials? How do you get new clients like that when people, do you get a lot of them from word of mouth, from people going, hey, I've got a guy kind of thing?
Mostly.
Is that what it is?
Mostly. Obviously we market, we do our events, which I'll talk about here in a second, but largely most of I would say 70 to 80% of the business that walks through our front doors through word of mouth referrals.
Wow. And that's got to be the best way to look at it, right? Because those are people you've actually gotten results for, and that speaks the most. I mean, you can't have a better ad campaign than people that have been with you for 10 or 12 years and you've changed their life or are going to change their life in the next 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, there's nothing I'm going to say here or anywhere else, tooting my own horn saying how great we are, that can compare to a satisfied client saying, yeah, these guys are not too bad.
Hey, I'm not broke.
Hey, I don't hate these guys.
Hey, give us Scott Brown. I'm not broke.
Yeah.
That's exactly
it.
it.
We don't hate him.
So when it comes to learning about this stuff, I know that you guys set up these seminars, and they're very, very good at kind of giving you a basic overview of what you guys do and provide, and more of an overview of how people can start savings. Because one of the biggest questions we get when we do this segment every single week is, hey, can I start with 500? Can I start with 100? I think the common misconception is that you need a chunk of money to start with to start saving money and creating a habit of doing so.
Yeah.
So at the seminar this week, coming up, what are we going to be talking about?
Just that. So we do two things. We call our accumulator series and then our maintenance series, which is accumulators, people who are like you're describing. I have $100, I have $500 a month. How do I get started? Where should I go for that? What's a good way to do that? And we answer those questions. We say, if you go here and you do this and you look at this website and you look at these types of investments, that's a good place to get started. For somebody who's maybe close to retirement or just looking for somebody to work with, they got $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, whatever the number is. That's called maintenance in our book. And those maintenance people come. We have both at the event. So it's kind of neat for the accumulator to see the maintenance people who are asking a lot of times very similar questions. So we have the event coming up on the 21st, which unfortunately is sold out now.
Oh, it is really?
It is sold out. So we immediately added another Ruth's Chris event for March 20th at 11 a.m. You can now go to edgewaterfamilywealth.com and enroll in that particular one. In fact, we had to move half a dozen people over to that one because we filled up the one this month. But yeah, you come to these things and it's really just informative. We're not beating you over the head with a product or anything like that.
They'll be because we have a few minutes left, and I find that interesting. So that's the February 21st is sold out. March 20th will be the next.
Yes, sir.
Edgewaterfamilywealth.com. Get on board and get signed up because he said they already had to roll over others from this one that sold out into the next one. So you definitely want to get on board for the March one so that you don't get left out of that one.
Yep.
You do them about once a month anyway?
During this time of year, we usually do them till about the end of summer. We try to do pretty much once a month.
So I think one of the things that, when you, like most of my friends are blue collar guys who just work for a living.
Sure.
You just have a job, they go out and they work all day long. And one of the big questions we get here on the texting service, and I get from people who hear the segment, who I know in my personal life is, do I have enough to start? And, is it difficult to do? If I only make $500 a week and I have these bills, how can I justify saving $10 or $25? Or can I even do that? Is it even worth starting with $10 or $25 to save or anything like that, a paycheck or whatever? I mean, I think that's maybe one of the biggest questions we get asked. Like, hey, I only make $45,000 a year. How do I start a savings program when I got a family to provide for?
Yeah.
But I still want to do that. And my job doesn't offer a 401k or anything like that. Like, what do you tell people like that?
Well, again, I get it. I mean, if you're a young person and you're struggling to make the bills, it's a hard conversation to have, right? Maybe the conversation isn't about saving right away. Maybe it's about, how do we create more income? How do we get rid of some of these bills that are these credit card situations or whatever it is? We have lots of, how do I get rid of my credit card problem debt or my car that I shouldn't have bought? We have lots of those conversations in the office. And listen, I was that guy. In my 20s, I was like, I got me a brand new Mustang GT 5-liter that I could not afford. And at some point, I think my old man said, hey, man, I'm not helping you out anymore. You need to get rid of this car. So my dad had his first financial planning talk with me at that point. So we have those kinds of conversations with people on a regular basis. I think you should not be intimidated.
And another thing, too, do me a favor. When you go see Scott, or if you do, don't look, be honest. Yeah. All right. So you remember, you're not going to get embarrassed. He's not going to embarrass you. He's not looking down. These guys helped people from all ilks of society plan their futures. You don't need to be embarrassed about your situation. Tell you what, you should be proud of yourself for stepping through the doors, because what you're trying to do is literally change your situation. You should actually be proud of yourself because of doing that.
I couldn't agree more. That is no shame. And if you have taken that step and it's hard, you walk into my office or anyone's office and say, look, I want to fix this problem. Good for you. You're going to get nothing but a high five from me, because that's how that's how we all got started.
Yeah, my daughter just got another job, got her second job, and we were talking via text the other day, and she had her struggles like a lot of young people do. They get into those habits. They want a nice car. They want to do certain things.
Understood.
They realize they can't do that. They make that midlife adjust, or I say midlife. They make that mid-20s adjustment, and they kind of go to them forward. The other day, she texts me, and she goes, I'm not going to tell you how much, but let's just say if I had to go out and find a place and do this and do that, I could easily afford it. And I was so proud of her, because you could hear in her voice that she was proud of herself, because she didn't think, not even a year ago, that she could do it. She didn't think she had that mechanism. Nope. It wasn't in her personality until she just started doing it.
That's not me, she thought.
And then 4 months into it, we're having conversations about, what am I going to do there? I'm going to do this. And, I found that when I started putting the money away, I don't even think about it anymore. I don't even consider that as part of my spending money. And she just got into that mentality of doing it right, and it changed her life.
Yeah, I think when you start to focus inward, this is going to sound like old man talk here, but there's something called inner and outer locus. Once people shift from outer locus which is the world is controlling you, to you're controlling your world, which is inner locus.
So empowering.
Once you, it sounds like your daughter has just crossed that threshold. When you cross that threshold and you recognize, oh, I can do this. I am. It's not because everybody's smarter than me or had a better advantage than me or got this or got that or were born with this. No, I can actually control this situation. Once people get there, you see it in their personality. You see it in the way they behave. You see it in the way they hold their chin up. It's everything. It's the pride that comes from that. I tell my kids all the time, I will not steal your purpose from you in life. And once you find that purpose and that you have the inner ability to do that, I know I'm sounding a little like Tony Robbins all of a sudden.
Yeah, please don't.
But the reality is,
please don't.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be a motivational speaker here, but the reality is, once you look inside and say, look, I can do this. Nobody can stop. And in fact, sometimes you just got to get pissed off and say, nobody's getting in my way.
That's right. That's exactly what you have to do. Well, Scott, look, we always love seeing you. Again, the February 21st class is sold out.
Yes, sir.
March 20th is open. There are limited spaces. So if you're serious about this stuff and you want to get involved, EdgewaterFamilyWealth.com. Book that March appointment. Go in there and learn more about how you can make your life better in a few years. Guys, it's not hard. I'm serious. It just takes persistence and discipline. You can do it. You can make your life better financially.
100%.
You can do it. Scott, thanks as always.
Thank you all.